'cause I'm wanted. Wanted.
I kind of scrolled through some of these. These seem a little intense this week, so let me get a little sip of water here. Oh, that's delicious. That is delicious. Oh, by the way, so I went to the gym, I went with a personal trainer, and I had a great workout, and then the next day my shoulder was bugging me. I was like, God damn it, is this ever going to end? And but I rolled it out, and after 2 days, it felt fine. And yesterday I went to the gym. It was time to do upper body again. I did upper body again, and it felt totally fine. And I think I'm finally going to push through. I finally have enough free time, and I also am finally not going to try to increase the weight too fast, and I'm going to get over this thing. And, I'm back to doing lat pull downs with 50 pounds. All I need to do is just slowly work my way to about 100 and 110 pounds, 3 sets of 15, and I'll be able to do a pull-up again. And then I can not lose my bet with Paul Verzi that I'll be able to do 10 pull-ups when I'm 70 years old. And I will be able to do that. I'm not going to cheat either. Okay? I'm going Aaron Judge on this shit. I'm going totally clean. But I'm not doing 62 pull-ups. I'm doing 10. All right. Art Vandals. That's a good name for a band. Art Vandals. There's a band called the Vandals. Art Vandals. Dear Bill, I'm a 27-year-old lady, 27-year-old girl. My friends consider me meek and polite. I always tell them on the inside, it's more like Bill Burr in here. Oh, yeah. You're going to, in your 30s, people are going to say, what happened to you? If you're like me. I don't have a lot of anger pent up, but certain things in life ignite the flames in me. Notice how she didn't say ignite the flame in me. She said ignite the flames in me, which means she got a little temper there. I never thought I'd write into the podcast, but my anger this week... I love how you say you don't have a lot of pent-up anger, and then you say ignite the flames, and now you're talking about your anger. All right, I've been there. And you know what? Right around 27, it was weird. Up until 27, I was like, hey, I have a great life. I'm a happy guy, and I don't know what happened. I never thought I'd write into the podcast, but my anger this week required me to do so, even for therapy, regardless of whether you read this. I love art history. I love the stories behind the artist and the art and the evolution of it all. That's a really cool thing to be into. Like, I don't even know anything about that, and if you started talking about that, that would be fascinating. I think always like fucking cutting their ears off and, eating broth their whole life, and then they die, and then their paintings for some reason are worth $1 zillion because 5 people dictate that market. This artist died next door. Let's all buy it and say it's great. We have the ability to move the needle. Anyway, I've devoted my life to studying and appreciating it. When those self-righteous fools threw tomato soup on the Van Gogh to protest oil. Oh my God, why would they do that? What does Van Gogh have to do with oil? I, quote, lost my shit, as you would say. You absolutely should have. I truly despise the idea that destruction of something is justified because of some greater cause. It's also an excuses how so many people think they are good people, but they are not. Well, it's always like a good cause, or the result you want is good, but how you go about it. Anyway, ironically, their hair was dyed using oil-based chemicals, and their clothes required oil to make. They can't possibly believe that they'd make a difference. It's more just a way for them to feel special. Fuck them and all the righteous. Thanks for providing a voice for my internal anger. No problem. I wouldn't say fuck all the righteous. It's there's 2 things that are really combination. Okay, getting in a position of power and handling it in a healthy way is really difficult. And then rebelling against somebody not handling their power well and you doing that in the correct way is really difficult. Like, I would say like with that Me Too shit, right? Which obviously the goal of it was righteous and it was correct. But you saw how quickly it just sort of kind of went off the rails in sort of these wild examples of people that clearly were not what they were going after. And I just saw like a number, I had a couple of friends or something, like they were just like innocent and they had to like get put on the bench for like 2 years because everyone was just afraid of like this new fucking movement, rather than being like, no, you're 100% right. There shouldn't be abuse of power. These people shouldn't be doing this. Women shouldn't be afraid. All of a sudden, yeah, 100% agree with that. But that right there is not an example of that. People were too afraid to do that. So then innocent people start going underneath the fucking blades. But I'm not singling out Me Too, because that seems to be the way it always seems to go. Like, there's a problem, people want to address it, and that when in addressing it, that addressing gains momentum, it gains power, and whenever there's power, it attracts a certain type of person, and then they abuse it, and then people come out the other side going like, wait a minute, this wasn't what it was supposed to be about. What the fuck are we doing here? That happens all the time. So those people are, so I wouldn't say fuck all the righteous. I would say God bless anybody who is righteous and can keep your feet on the ground, and you don't get caught up in the money and horse that comes with being successful with something. Once again, overly simplifying. I can't believe they did that. Van Gogh is one of the few artists that I actually know about, and I appreciate, a lot of this stuff. My wife's really into that type of stuff, and I started going to it more, and the more I went to it, the more I started gaining like this appreciation of it. It was like, it's really interesting, and there's interesting people that go to it and all that type of stuff. And like any scene, there's, some douches that are just trying too hard to be interesting, but overall, I really liked it. But I don't know what, tomato soup, Van Gogh to protest oil. That sounds like rich kids. Like, who the fuck even knows who Van Gogh is before you're like 40? No, I knew. But if he didn't cut his ear off, right? Or you know what it is? Like, you heard the name, but you didn't. It's like Mozart, Beethoven. I've heard the names. If you played me that shit, I don't know who's who. You know what I mean? But, you play AC/DC, Metallica. I'm like, that's AC/DC, that's Metallica. Every once in a while, I just go on a tangent, and I'm just like, wow, I'm really dumb. Dear Billiam Burning Beard. I like that one. How are you? I'm a 30-year-old dude from Toronto. Great city. Great coffee in that city. I had a good time when I went there. And this person said, I've been listening to the podcast now for about 3 years now. Last night, me and a buddy drove to Windsor to see you live. We couldn't make the Toronto shows. We were not going to miss this one. Please tell me this. You had a good time. Everything was going great. You were killing. We were having a great time, and so happy to finally see you perform. Great. So you're doing your thing up there, and I noticed the woman beside me, who was clearly wasted, wasn't really feeling your brand of comedy, and she started making backhanded comments after all your jokes. I think it's a backhanded compliment. It's not a backhanded comment. This is what I'm the Pied Piper of fucking people who can't say an expression right. Anyway, she was bugging everyone around us to the point even the guy she was with was telling her to shut up repeatedly, which itself was getting super disruptive. So finally I had enough. I've been waiting forever for this show. I wasn't going to just sit there and put up with it, so I turn politely and I say, could you please stop talking? She looks me in the eye and like a 4-year-old says no. So I just roll my eyes, turn away, and try to focus on your show. 5 seconds later, what does she... You know what she does, Bill? She dumps her entire fucking beer in my lap. Oh my God. And it's a woman, so there's like nothing you can do. I'm shocked and absolutely fucking livid. I just tried to focus my rage on the show because I didn't want to be disrupted. But then a few minutes later, she grabs my arm and says, I'm sorry, like a toddler who was forced to apologize. You know what that was probably because you didn't engage. And then she probably, maybe came to her senses. Anyway, so I soaked in this broad's beer and and blinded with rage, looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Shut the fuck up." She gets all pissy and gets up, falling down drunk, calling me a bunch of homophobic shit, screaming, "I said I was sorry." To which I say, "Fuck you. I just asked you to be quiet. You dumped your drink on me." She trades places with the guy she's with, who is repeatedly telling her, stop, you do this every time we go out. Now, what is this fucking guy doing? If you're going to stay with her, keep her home or put her on a leash. Anyway, the guy says, which is hilariously ironic considering not 10 minutes before that you did a bit about red flags. Oh, that's hilarious. Anyway, they're both arguing, being insanely disruptive. I tell them both to shut up. People are trying to watch. And then the fucking guy starts talking shit to me. Oh, God. And you know what's sad about all this? They probably have children. It's getting ridiculous, so I just focus because I don't want to cause an even bigger scene and really fuck up the show. Eventually, the woman gets up. Oh, my God, this story is unbelievable. And leaves. And the guy immediately turns to me and said, "I'm sorry, man." And starts talking to me about her. As sternly as I could say, "Dude, just let me watch the fucking show." My God, these people are fascinating. How stupid they are. That was the end of it. But now I'm trying to enjoy the last chunk of your show, shivering, covered in beer, trying to focus while the rage of this fuckery is just festering. Oh, and you got to drive all the way back to Toronto? Please tell me you got a hotel room. What calmed me down was thinking to myself, well, I'm going to write him and Andrew a letter tomorrow, and maybe if he trashes her on the podcast, it will all have been worth it. Oh, buddy, are you kidding me? I'm thinking of sending you something. The lights came on after the show, and it took everything in my power not to start talking shit to them, but I didn't feel like causing a big thing in a casino. She had painted on eyebrows and looked like a little trash clown from outer space, so I had some shots in the chamber, but what can you do? We just let them walk away with her carrying his balls in her purse. Anyway, fuck her and her childish attitude. Dude, I don't know how I could trash her any better than you're doing it. Anyway, fuck her and her childish attitude. At the end of the day, I still had an amazing time seeing you perform. Dude, you are a higher being, man. If you went through all of that and you're still feeling like you had an amazing time. He said, your story about the mushroom trip brought my mood right back to where it needed to be. I sincerely apologize for the disruption at your show and to anyone listening now who may have been there. That said, everyone we talked to around us after seemed to all be on our side. Why wouldn't they be? Absolutely love your work, bud. F is for Family is a work of art. Thank you for all the laughter you brought me through the pandemic. It's truly kept me going. Best wishes to you and the family, and go fuck yourself.